My guest today is one of the most famous faces in property, yet no one knows what he does. So, without further ado, Christopher Watkins, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's really appreciated.
Absolutely pleasure, Chris. What do I do? Well, what for a job or what people
For
see?
for a job. So, what pays the bills in the Watkins household?
I'm of the opinion that local homeowners are interested in what's happening in the local property market. To back that up, a survey of 10,000 vendors by the Property Academy last year, 36% of those, so 3,600 vendors, said they chose their estate agent based on that agent's local property market knowledge. And what I do is I ghostwrite with my team, my wife, great local content on the local property markets for them to publish under their own name to make them look like the most knowledgeable agent in the town to attract landlords and vendors to their agency.
Brilliant. Yeah, we were both at the Agency UK conference about a month or so ago. I think we did the survey of the room, or you asked who actually knows what I do for a living. And I think about four people out of 100 actually put their hands up and said, "Yeah, I know what you do." So it was that a sort of
And that's
a
deliberate, and that is deliberate.
Well, I was going to ask that, is that a deliberate thing that you don't sort of punt out what you do for a kind of pay in the background? Is it more, is an angle you go for? What's the plan there?
Chris, do you like to be sold to as a human being?
Never.
But then if you look at most people's social media, all they're trying to do is sell you stuff. And I think people are more interested in wanting to buy stuff as opposed to trying to be sold to. So therefore, I don't hide the fact I'm a ghostwriter. If you actually look at my moniker, my name underneath my, the job title on LinkedIn, it says ghostwriter for letting and estate agents. So I don't hide the fact. I just don't talk about it. I'm of the opinion that people only do business with people they trust. So therefore, if you want people to trust you, well, you're certainly not going to get people to trust you if all you do is try and sell stuff to them. And I think the same goes with estate agents, is that we're all very guilty of trying to sell stuff to people. And we're very good at selling houses, and we're very good at on the doorstep trying to persuade someone to use our agency. But then we don't think on and try and use those same people almost go onto automatic pilot mode saying, use my estate agent. I'm brilliant. Look at me. I'm awesome. You just end up being like the person at the party talking about yourself. And we all know what we think to those people.
Is this
So
where your sort of natural hatred of the pie chart comes in?
it's bragging. You are posting how many people love you. Isn't it interesting that how many estate agents say I lost the listing, but they like me? I genuinely believe estate agents do not care. This is employed estate agents do not care whether they sell the house or not. All they care about is whether they get the listing because someone likes them.
Hmm. So you think it's more of a popularity contest as opposed to a business conversation potentially?
Most employed valuers, where their neck is not on the line and they haven't got to pay the bills, they just see it as an opportunity for people to like them. It's not my quote, it's someone else's quote, but it's Tinder for ugly people. Estate agency is Tinder for ugly people, just people going around just getting people to like them. And and how can I say such things? Well, when you consider that at the moment you have a 1 in 2 chance of actually selling the house. In the last year, 53% of the homes that came onto the market actually exchanged contracts. What happened to the 47%? Because the estate agent overvalued. Why did they overvalue? To get the business. Why did they overvalue to get the business? Because they're not very good at their job at proving their worth. And therefore, they know a lot of people are greedy, so they'll just overvalue it just to get the business. That see, someone likes me. And again, some people blame the corporates. Well, there's one very large corporate estate agent who allegedly has listings bonuses. But at the end of the day, that corporate doesn't have 7 or 8% of the market in most towns. It's a hell of a lot less because they have multiple brands. You're not telling me one competitor in the town is going to affect the whole of the market. I think fundamentally, we as an industry, are not very good at attracting great people into the industry. Our fees have gone down, which means we can't pay. If the average negs fee is literally 80p more than the national minimum wage, you're not going to attract the right sort of people into the industry. Meanwhile, so you've got lower quality people. I say that with total love and respect. And then at the same time, we've got vendors who, how many times as an estate, they've said XYZ agent gave me this figure, like the agent is actually giving them the money. So you've got vendors who are naturally greedy, rightly so, because we all want as much as what we can. And we've got estate agents who are not very good at their services. I'm making sweeping statements here. Not all estate agents are like this, but it's just that bit in the middle, the average people that don't want to change, that aren't employing great staff on great wages. And they're just, it's just ever decreasing circles. I really pull my hair out on this industry, but thank God there are people like you and others out there that are shouting from the rooftops about bettering yourself. And I genuinely believe that there is a polarization in the UK estate agency market, that, the corporate estate agents are slowly, out of the top 25 largest estate agency groups, the big one is treading water. Everyone else is dropping apart from EXP, which just shows that self-employed estate agency is the way forward. And there's some great self-employed estate agents, and there's some great young estate agents, Jamie Miners from Miners and Brady's one that comes there, the Avocado Boys, who are pulling up trees that are showing huge difference. And that gap will continue to grow. Your job as an estate agent is to prove your worth, that you're worth your fee, and people will naturally come to you, and let the rubbish just die off slowly by 1,000 cuts.
Why do you think there is that race to the bottom on fee wise? Because it should, with inflation in mind and house prices, the fee should be going up. Is it because the level of access to being an estate agent is so low and the barrier of entry so low, you think that it's getting kind of, the fees are just going down and down?
I think a lot of it is the mindset of the bosses. In the fact is that, most of us who are in our 40s, 50s, and early 60s were brought up on the Halifax and Countrywide and all the others. And we're still running off the same books where basically it's get him on the market, they'll sell, get them on the market, they'll sell. And that worked a treat when listing numbers were double they were now. But listings, we're only listing in the order of about 1.5 million houses a year, if probably a little bit more, 1.8, 1.9 actually, off the top of my head. So, and why do I think it is? The mindset of the bosses, the degradation of the fee, and I think the big one is this: the training and development of our teams. I'm on the assumption that the top 50 estate agents have their own training departments. Okay, let's say top 100. That leaves 13,900 estate agents to be trained. Well, I challenge you to name more than 10 in the UK that will train the rest of them. No one can. How can 10 people train 13,000 estate agency firms? So there you go. I really don't, the issue is not the vendors. The issue is mindset of bosses and the lack of training and development.
Yeah, so you think the fee is kind of plastering over the cracks effectively. So instead of the short-term investment, we'll just plaster over the cracks with a lower fee and it will come on the market and away we go.
If you're not training people how to get higher fees, how the hell can you get more money in to pay for the training? But what's happening is that the fees are just going down and down and down and down.
Yep.
And if we don't, we deserve to lose out to your 0% purple bricks and 0.5%. We deserve to. We don't take personal responsibility in improving ourselves. Shocking, absolutely shocking.
And do you think with, well, I don't want to predict the future here too much, with a Labour government around the corner and with potentially Roper around the corner from that sort of thing, do you think the fees will organically start increasing as the road is harder to drive down with that coming in?
Should we be afraid? Will this be going out before or after the general election?
This is probably after the general elections. We've got to be crystal ball here slightly.
So on the assumption that Labour come in, I don't think it will make one ha'porth of difference to the property market. Will regulation itself improve fees? Not as much in the short term as I think it will. It all depends how long, if everyone's got to be level 4 and they've got 2 years to get it, then there will be a a number like it happened in PFAs. A lot of people, people in their 50s and 60s, one man, one woman bands decide to give up. Now, there is an awful lot of one man and one woman band offices. Will they want to do a level 4? Possibly not. So therefore, by the very nature, supply will go, number of agents will go down, which means potentially, general economics means fees will go up. Might not do though.
Mhm.
Might not
Time will
do.
tell. Time will tell. So from talking about fees going down to right the way down to free stuff. So you're a big fan of free stuff. Talk me through the policy on that side. 'Cause if you go on your Facebook account, you're giving away stats, you give away training, give away loads of stuff. So talk us through the policy on that side.
Um, if you, it's absolutely funny. I have a system called the landlord and vendor farming technique. Okay, where instead of hunting for clients, you farm them. And I'm a big fan of a chap called Gary Vaynerchuk or Gary V. You might have come across him. And he said about 6 years ago, he said, if you give everything away for free, more people will buy stuff off you. So I thought I'd try it, and it kind of worked. And what I've learned is that you can give everyone almost everything on how to. I give my whole technique away for free. I even give them free templates on, fundamentally write about the local property market, stats, house prices, rents. Everyone's obsessed about that. You see a brand new for sale board on your street, you'll have a look because you're nosy at the pictures, but you're really interested in the house price. So everyone's obsessed about the value of their own home. So if you talk about that and publish that in local Facebook groups, people will be naturally attracted to you. Do the top 50 streets by highest price. People, thousands of people will view this. I've been banging on about this for years. I've given the whole technique away, 50 videos, templates, everything. And I know how many I've sent. I can see how many people click on the links, and I can see how many people actually do it. And I've given it away 2,500 times, the whole 50 videos. Most people don't get past the first 8th or 9th video, and I can count on 2 hands and a couple of toes how many people are doing it.
Hmm. Yeah, I think
The
that's
whole
the
technique on how to attract landlords and vendors is all there. There's no subject twos, no course, no you've got to buy this, nothing. Fundamentally, people are lazy and they want it now.
I remember you when you did the talk at the agency UK, you said, here's all the things we're gonna do today, but none of you are gonna do it anyway. So
Right. And the thing is though, I can count on one hand the amount of people that are actually doing it because I can spot whether they're doing it or not.
yeah. So one of my questions was later on was going to be where you got the idea for the free stuff. But I guess Gary V is the
Gary
answer.
V. There is no new ideas out there in this world. You just recycling old ones. I listened to Gary V, Gary Vaynerchuk, and he inspired me. And I just thought to myself, well, let's just try that. Because if you give something away and expect nothing else back in return, you've already won. Those that do things for you have friends that do things for you and expect something back in return. They very quickly don't become friends. There are other friends that who do things for you and don't expect anything in return. I give the whole technique away for free, completely. I give my time, I have my morning chats, and I give my time away completely for free. And I don't expect anything in return. But I've already won because I feel good about myself by helping someone. And estate agents, listen to this. You should be talking about the local property market and what's happening. And you chuck this stuff out and you ignore, you don't get any likes and any comments or anything like that. And you think, is it worth me doing this? But you just get on with it. My wife, who is a co-owner of the business, I do the sofa chats. We've done we're probably about 6 months away from being the 2000th sofa chat.
Wow.
And each person that sits on that sofa costs me many hundreds of pounds. And my wife said after 2 years, is it worth us doing this? And I says, I don't know because I can't measure it.
Yeah.
But 7 years later, it must be.
In my defense, you did get a Grantham timetable from 1964 off the back of me for me coming on there. So not all bad news. As if by magic, there we go. What a fun. There we go. Oh, shameless in there as well. That's
It's
really
honestly, it's by my, and then there's a lesson for you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know whether you got that off Etsy or whether you got that off eBay, but the magic thing is this: is people have bought me scotch, beer, but if there's and I never talk about it, but the one thing I bang on about is the fact is I'm not a train spotter, by the way. I just love timetables. Don't ask me why I'm a bit weird. Is this is that I bang on constantly, constantly. Forethought, thinking of the person that you're dealing with. I read some, if you're trying to win a piece of business, go onto their Facebook feed, and if they're like barbecues, why don't you go down to the garden centre and buy some Jack Daniel's wood chippings and deliver it? Say, look, and I know I haven't got your business, but here's a bag of Jack Daniel's wood chippings for your barbecue.
yeah. And it's just about
You'll
thinking
get
that
that
little
list.
bit further ahead. There's that little step ahead of going, "Oh, I've got this. What can I do? What's one bar beyond this?" That's the
Yes,
way to
but
go.
but at the same time, don't go round and deliver it and expect to get the listing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you mentioned Facebook and Facebook content there. So what sort of content should estate agents who are listening into this, who are looking at their Facebook account at the moment, what content should they be posting on there and what should they be giving away for free on their Facebook page?
Okay, so if you want somebody, do you believe in the premise that people do business with people they trust and only
Absolutely.
people? So therefore, let's go one step back to go two forward. So the question is not how do I get more listings, is how do I get more people to trust me? And you get trust is just an outcome of a relationship. So how do you get someone to build a relationship up with you? Well, first they have to know you. And then after a while, that knowledge turns into liking you, and that liking you turns into trusting you. Hence the phrase know, like, and trust. How do you get someone to know you? Well, they have to be interested in you. So it goes, they have to be interested in you to get to know you. To get to know you, then they get to like you. And when they like you, they trust you. And people do business with people they trust. So if we take all that back, how the hell do you get someone interested in you? Well, let me turn it around. Chris, the best way for someone to be interested in you is firstly be interested in.
We're at the gym, going for long walks, all the stuff I'm interested in.
No, the best way for someone to be interested in you is firstly be interested in
Be interested in me. What about
them.
me? My
Yeah.
stuff.
So therefore, we already knew each other, but you were interested in me and you've heard what I did. And now all of a sudden, yes, with respect, you're just another estate agency trainer coming across my sofa. But now I've got an ultimate soft spot for you because you've done that. Now, I'm not suggesting you go around and buy timetables for everyone, but the magic thing is this: if you talk about stuff that other people are interested in, they become interested in you. When they become interested in you, they get to know you. When they get to know you, they get to like you. And when they get to like you, they trust you. And people only do business with people they trust. So therefore, you ask, what should estate agents put out on social media? Content which is of interest to homeowners in your town. But if you look at most estate agents' social media feeds, listing, 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 listing. Here's a testimonial. Listing, listing, listing. Here's an exchange. Here's a testimonial. Listing, listing, listing. You're just like the person at the party who talks about themselves. Now, I'm not suggesting for a minute you don't put your listings on, and I'm not for 1 minute suggesting you don't put testimonials on. But estate agents are the gatekeepers to the second most interesting topic in the world to the Brits. The first being the weather, the second being the property market, yet none of us talk about it. And all I'm suggesting estate agents do is talk about the local property market to local people, because the only people that join a local, which town are you in, Chris?
Winchester.
Winchester. The only people that join Winchester Facebook groups are people from where?
Winchester.
And where do 100% of Winchester homeowners live?
Winchester.
There you go. So you post, don't share, never share into a Facebook group. Post local content, not about your listings or how awesome you are, but you post content into Winchester Facebook groups. And if you talk about the Winchester property market to Winchester people, you'll become the guru of the Winchester property market. Because everyone in Winchester's interested in the Winchester property market. You don't talk about Eastleigh or Southampton or Basingstoke, God forbid. But but Winchester people are interested in the Winchester property market. I mean, Savills have been doing this for 30 years. The only reason they deal with posh houses is because that's where the money is.
Mm. That's sort of the opinion of kind of what's in it for me. What's in it for me for the relationship, for me actually subscribing to your Facebook feed and seeing your Facebook stuff. There has to be something for me
Exactly.
for it.
So therefore, if you've got to give them something so valuable and so interesting that they become interested in you. So the sofa chats, if I, Chris, I do not care about any topic I talk about on the sofa. None whatsoever. If I wanted to talk about stuff that Chris Watkins, was interested in, I'd talk about this in this order. Obviously, first my wife. Other things that I'm interested in, train timetables. I'm interested in little dogs. I'm a Freemason. I love my Freemasonry. I collect antique medals. I like craft beer. What else am I interested in, Joe? I'm just a boring little man, aren't I? Yeah. Food. Oh, I'm interested in talking to interesting people. So it just so happens that we talk about estate agency stuff on the sofa. But if you wanted to talk about farms, I'd talk about farms on the sofa if you were interesting. And that's where I get my kicks from my content. Because if you're doing stuff without any feedback or anyone giving you business, it's really hard work. I'm sure you've done this. What number podcast is this, Chris?
This will be about 20-ish so far.
Right. And okay. Did you know to get into the top 1% of all podcasts by total number of episodes, you need to have done 21 episodes?
I did know that, so I tried to have a good selection, nearly coming up towards 2021 before I even started to make sure I was
And
in that 1%.
how long have you been doing this?
Oh, I've been releasing one a week, but I started recording this stuff back in just after Christmas, and I actually launched the podcast 3 months ago.
So my advice to you, because let's be honest, no one's listening to this, so it's just between me and you, mate. It is do it for the thrill of actually doing it and not the likes or comments or anything else like that. You're very smart at chopping it up and giving out bite-sized pieces to throw back to the main, but don't judge yourself on the number of views or the likes or the comments. Do it because you enjoy doing it. Because what you're doing is you're planting the seeds now, which won't come to fruition for 12, 18 months' time. And I think that's the biggest thing that all in fact, when it comes to social media, is you can't buy trust, you have to earn it. And to do that, you have to put the hard work in. And I see so many people starting podcasts, doing videos, market commentaries, anything else like that. And they give up after 2 or 3 months, 4 months, because they've done all this work. Just like my wife said after 2 years, is it worth us doing this? You know, and and sometimes you just have to believe in the process. And the way
How,
go on.
I was there, how do you switch off from that? So, I try and be fairly rigid with the business. So when I look at, Facebook posts, Instagram posts, whatever it may be, I look myself by how much I produce rather than how much I consume. So I look at myself, right, I should do a post on social media every day on a weekday, and that's across all platforms, videos once a week, all this sort of stuff. But it's human nature just to check and go, I wonder how many likes I got on that post.
Yeah,
Surely you look on your social media now and again and go, oh, that one's a banger. That's done really well. Or that one's absolutely trash. And I thought it was really good. Surely even still.
I'm aware of it, but it doesn't control my actions.
Yep.
And I have wobbles where, I had one a few weeks ago where I was thinking, what is it worth me doing all these bloody videos? And, I post 5 times a day with some quite thoughtful stuff. And you do have a wobble. And then you realize, hold on a second, it's got to me to where we are now, and there could be you as a trainer or a stage that's this and this. You might put a run of great content out and get no business. But then you might have a rubbish run where you're pouring and get loads of new clients in. And the way you've got to look at it is you've got to get your hit of dopamine by hitting the word publish, being aware of the numbers, seeing what the reaction. If I want lots of feedback, I'll take photographs of me at events or do a Rightmove pie chart post or something that's a bit controversial, but it won't get me any business. because I know, because I talk to people. Most of the people who actually do business with me have never liked or commented on one of my comments
Yeah.
on one of my posts. So just go out there and enjoy, get your dopamine hit from posting, be aware of what's doing it, but don't chase the number.
No, I love that.
Hard,
Yep.
really
Really
hard.
hard. Yep.
And they said, no one's listened to this, so it don't really matter, mate. But if you ever have a wobble, and you will have wobbles, then just pick up the phone. Because sometimes you need to hear it from someone else. There's some big names in the industry pick up the phone to me. And, those people that, are chucking out amazing content, even I go, wow, they all have wobbles. They all have wobbles.
Yep. So it's focusing on the output rather than the input effectively. Is that what we're trying to do as much as we possibly can do?
Well, you sure got that right way around.
Maybe possible on the input rather than the output. No, no,
Focusing
output.
on the publishing it.
Yeah,
Focus.
focus on the publishing rather than what comes back
Okay.
on it
Yeah.
effectively.
So,
Yeah.
so really work out who your audience is. And then which is obviously in your case and my case, estate agents. In estate agents' points of view, it's homeowners. In letting agents, it's landlords. Work out where their eyeballs are, okay? Which in estate agents is estate agent groups and connecting up those people. With estate and letting agents, it's local Facebook groups because local people join local Facebook groups. And then asking yourself, am I posting this to try and get something or give something? And you need a ratio of probably 7 or 8 gives, and then you can go for a get.
Yeah.
So every once in a while, you'll see me say a post saying, this is what I do for estate agents. But mostly it's the other stuff. And you just keep doing it and you'll have a wobble. Is it worth doing? So, the best way I can use that is you give in public and ask in private. So you will never see me that much in public trying to sell my services that much. But in private, I am asking.
Yeah. You mentioned Facebook groups there. So talk me through, because I know you've got quite a strong idea and strong policy when it comes to having your own Facebook group in your local town. So talk me through how that works. So if you're looking at your local feed for Winchester, for example, talk me through, and you've got the Facebook groups there. How would you sort of attack that?
Right. Number one, I would set up my own Facebook group saying I love living in Winchester or Winchester Living or something like that. And I would start dumping all of my content in there, which doesn't talk about myself. Meanwhile, I will be joining every other Winchester Facebook group. And I will be posting notice I use the word post and not share in all of those groups. So number one, I'll be joining all those other groups. And then number two, I would be posting in those groups, give content. In the same time, I would be commenting in those Facebook groups on every single post, be it dog poo not being picked up, potholes, council not picking up the bins. I would be commenting on everything, right? Slowly but surely building up as a person who both comments but also writes great content as well. I'd be doing that for 6 months, 12 at the moment, 12. Then slowly but surely, I would then be going into those Facebook groups and look, there's a little tab that says members, right? And you click on members and there'll probably be lots of people that A, that you're already connected up with, or B, who have mutual connections. So those that have the most mutual connections, I will be sending a friend request to them. They're very likely to take you because A, you've been commenting, B, you've been checking out great content, and C, you've got lots of mutual connections. Once you're connected up with them, the wonderful thing is now is they then get to see what you're checking out, which means then slowly 6 months later, you could send another message saying, do you realize there's this other Facebook group here called I Love Living in Winchester? Therefore, slowly wooing them. Anyone who joins a Winchester Facebook group has got to live in Winchester. So you create great content, then send connection requests to people you've got lots of mutual connections with. And if you think about it, the more connections you have, the more other people you've got mutual connections with. You then friend them, and then you then introduce them to your group. Now all of a sudden you have this Facebook group of 3, 4, 5, 6,000 people in Winchester, which means you're not beholden to the other Facebook groups 12, 18 months time, and you can have your own Facebook group, and now you can start retargeting adverts to them in 18 months time. And you're going to say, well, Chris, that takes a lot of time and effort. Yes. Isn't anything worth having in this life take hard work? Yeah, but 18 months is a long time. Hey, we were only just coming out of lockdown 4 years ago. That doesn't seem like 2 minutes ago. But 18 months of work without anything in return seems an awful long time, yeah? But isn't anything good in this world worth the hard work? Yeah. There's no such thing as a overnight success.
And is this where your sort of the farming point of view comes in? Because you're kind of planting the seeds today with your Facebook group and those connections and those comments and those messages. Eventually, in 18 months' time, you're like, everything's going on its own. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's it. You know, it's the proverbial caveman or cavewoman, and they would go out hunting every day, and there would be would be one caveman 30, 40, 50,000 years ago that everyone laughed at, who spent 2 hours at the end of every night hunting, clearing that field next to the stream, making fences, putting the grass seed in, watering it. But who was laughing now when the wildebeest walked in there 2 years later, saying there's no point in us walking around the savannah? Then all that has to do is roll out of bed and hey presto, there's a wildebeest.
I love that. So, what are some of the mistakes you see estate agents making in Facebook groups? You mentioned already that they're resharing and not posting in Facebook groups.
Not po well, number one, not many of them actually do it. Well, and if you think about it, most just hit the word share and get banned straight away. All they do is they post on their company page. And the only people that are going to, they're posting rubbish content and they're only posting it on their company page. And the only people that will get to see that content is people who've liked their page, which is them, their mum, their aunt, and a few of their existing clients. And all social media is what you and I would say face to face, but on a computer screen. So all you have to do is create great content and put it in front of the right people. It's all very good putting it on TikTok. Yeah, 20,000 views, 30,000 views. Half of them come from the other side of the world. If you're in Winchester, you need Winchester homeowners to listen to what you have to say. And every Winchester homeowner is obsessed about the Winchester property market. So why don't you do a countdown of the 100 most expensive streets in Winchester?
And
Okay.
do you recommend?
You could do this. Here you go. Look, I'm going to let me show you this. There you go. Okay. So we could go like that. There's a virtual background for anyone listening. Okay, so there's a street view. Okay. Hi, it's Chris here, and I love Winchester so much. I'm doing a countdown of the 100 most expensive streets in Winchester. Today, I'm at number 78, which is Church Avenue, with the average value of a home on this house street of £641,200. The price of the properties are primarily made up of 1930s semi-detached and detached houses. There's 34 of them. I love Church Street because it's in the primary school catchment area. You've got Betty's coffee shop round the corner that does the most wonderful sticky buns. And of course, you're only 3 minutes away from the train station. Next week, I'll be at number 77 at the north end of Winchester. Will your street be at number 77? Now, all of a sudden, every single person who is in the north end of Winchester at the local Rotary Club or whatever club they're in will be saying, I wonder if our street will be at that street. Now people are talking about you.
That's very good. So you've reminded me of a question I went to ask you, which you've just reminded me of there. Talk me through your way when you presented that. You divided off between the stats and the emotion. So you went stats, it's this figures, this sort of house prices. I love. Why did you do that?
So there's two sides to the human brain. There's the emotional and the logical. And do you like to be sold to, Chris?
No, never.
You see, do you like to be told what to do by your other half?
No, but I reluctantly accept defeat sometimes.
Yeah, well, you should.
I'm a smart guy.
Okay. But fundamentally, none of us like to be told what to do. So selling is someone trying to tell you what to do. So, and you do that when you mix up, you can't sell. To sell to someone, you need to use both emotion and a logic. But if you keep them separate and don't cross the streams, clarity comes, because what you've got is two sides to the human brain. You would either know it as the logical and emotional or the conscious and the subconscious. The funny thing is, though, for a human to actually make an actual decision, 19 out of 20 completed decisions, the emotional side or the subconscious needs to say yes first. This is a Harvard study. The problem is, therefore, is that how do you get your message into the subconscious for them to say, for it to say yes first? Well, if all you're trying to do is use logic to persuade someone, or logic mixed up with a bit of emotion, the thing is this: to get to the subconscious or emotional side of the brain, I'm going to get quite technical here, but stay with me on this one. To get to the subconscious or emotional side of the brain, the message has to go through the conscious brain first. And if you are kind of saying, if you're trying to sell them something, so using emotion and logic, the conscious goes, is this me? Is this emotion? Because it's quite complicated, the conscious brain says, I'll sod it, and ignores it. That's why most people ignore most marketing. But if you actually wrap it up, your message in pure emotion, the conscious will look at it and go, this is nothing to do with me. This is subconscious. Right, green lights all the way, kids. Let's get out of this because we can't be doing with all this emotional mush. Get it straight through to subconscious. The subconscious loves it because if you've packaged it up in such a way that it's just pure emotion. So what does that look like? If you recall, I did it in three sections. I did the intro, why the hell they should watch it. Then I used some logic, and then I used some emotion. So what I said is, this is the street, these are the actual facts, and then I love it because. And I was going all waxy lyrical, and I'd go really over the top. You know, Betty's Coffee Shop, you must try their trifles with extra cream. It is absolute, and make sure you do the sprinkles. Oh my God, they're gorgeous. Total over the top emotion. What will happen is the emotional side of it is just people remember the last thing they see. That's why we're leaving emotion at the end. And it seems counter, but honestly, people remember the last thing they see, go straight through. And now also, oh, yes, I love the person watching it will go, oh, yes, I love Betty's Coffee Shop and I love the sprinkles. Oh, this guy, I love it. Love it. It's telling a story, a story. And then all of a sudden, the emotional side is saying, yeah, I like this, I like this, I want this, I love it, I love this, I just love because I love Betty's Coffee Shop. And then it goes back to logic, and then the logic, you've already given them the logic, you haven't crossed over. And that is how you get inside someone's brain. It's a bit like, you know, if you're trying to persuade, as an estate agent, trying to persuade someone about overvaluing. Okay. The best way you can do that is to tell a story of someone who had their fingers burnt with her. You know, if you go and say, look, your 3-bedroom semi is 300,000 and here's 4 that are all on at 250. Look, here's the proof. How many times have you done that and it hasn't worked? Millions of times, everyone watching this. But if you actually say to them, Mrs. Miggins, before we actually start, I'm sure you've seen properties that have been on the market for so long and you've done so much, you know, sorry, start again. You've seen properties that have been on the market like for 6 months. There's obviously something wrong with it. Yeah. Well, let me tell you a story of Mr. Miggins, who is also moving to his daughter to be near his grandchildren. And they actually, the estate agents, everyone was saying 250, but this particular agent said 285. And I can't blame it because Mr. Miggins would get an extra 30 grand for his grandkids, which was a great legacy for him. The unfortunate thing is, though, is that the estate didn't have any viewings for 10 weeks and then slowly dropped it down to 275. And then another 10 weeks went by, slowly dropped it down to 260. And eventually, after 30 weeks, dropped it down to 250. But it'd been on the market so long that people thought there was something wrong. And eventually it went for 240. In the meantime, there were the property that, you know, there was some absolutely stunning bungalows up near his daughter's in Bristol. But unfortunately, the Bristol market was on so much fire that the prices just went through the roof. And so he actually ended up having to go onto the other side of the city and now hardly sees his grandkids as, only sees his grandkids once a week, which is probably what he was seeing it when he was down in Taunton, simply because an estate agent overvalued. Now, what I'd like to show you, Mrs. Miggins, is this. Here are 3-bedroom semis that particular agent has had on the market. And you can see here by the stats that have been on the market that long. I would also like to show you these stats from 20EA. You know, I'm a bit of a fanboy. And you can see here that this particular agent here takes, on average, 30 weeks to find a buyer. And if you look at this here, only sells 1 in 2 houses that they put on the market. Whilst you can see here, I take 10 weeks and 7 out of 8 hounds actually move. Now, I don't blame you for wanting to have a go, Mr. Miggins, Mrs. Miggins, but I don't want you to be like Mr. Miggins, who moves with all that hassle and trouble and ends up not seeing his grandkids as much. The choice is yours, obviously, but that I don't want you to be like Mr. Miggins, and here's your proof. Emotional story
Mm.
backed up by logic.
Yep.
You have to get emotional buy-in first. And this is GCSE sales psychology. This is nothing fancy. But if there's only 10 trainers not teaching the stuff, then all they're going to do is go in and just say, hi, I'm an estate agent. Let me get my PowerPoint out and tell you why I'm brilliant. This is us. Look at us. Look at our market share. We're brilliant. Oh, you could be here. Not actually listening to the person and their story. Sorry, go off my
No,
process.
no, I think that's a worthy soapbox to be on. I was actually chatting with a client last week or so, and they had lost the market appraisal, and they were going through, and they're like, I was bang on my figures, I was bang on that figure, and I literally quoted that exact stat saying 19 out of 20 decisions are made by emotion. And I said, logically, you were probably bang on. Emotionally, you probably weren't. And they were like,
You need emotional buy-in. You still need logic.
yep,
That's why most prop tech firms are rubbish at selling their, not this will get you more listings.
yeah,
Are you pissed off that you're losing listings? Do you open up Rightmove and get knocked off? The fact is that 4 houses have come on the market and 3 you weren't even called out to.
yeah. No, I
That's
like that.
that's it. That's emotion. By the way, I have this product here that a lot of estate agents use to stop that.
Love that. So emotion is so if in doubt, emotion's the way, but with logic to back it up behind the scenes.
Have to.
Yep. I love that a lot. Chris, thank you so much for your time today. It's been absolutely gold from start to finish, as I knew it would be for the most famous man in property.
Chris, can I just say on behalf of the industry, thank you for what you're doing. You are a breath of fresh air in the industry, and I genuinely put you up there with the likes of the Simon Gateses of this world, who again, I think a lot of us, I truly believe he's exceptional, and you can hold a candle to him. Keep up the great work, keep up the great content, and everyone else just follow what Chris has got to say. I've heard him speak; he is exceptional. And take responsibility and train and develop your teams to be better estate agents so you can get the fees that you deserve and the listings you deserve.
Yeah, amazing. Well, on that note, Chris, thank you very much. Very kind of you, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.